bridge dedication. As many of you guys know, my dad has spent countless hours putting this thing together. He had some visions. Previous to Mom passing away, they had always talked about putting a crossing up over here, and he decided that after she passed that he'd really like to do a memorial to her. So it really means a lot that all of you guys are here to share this dedication with us. We really do appreciate that. We'd like to thank everybody for their support over these last 2 years that we've gone through this, loss of Mom. It's really been tough on everybody, but we really appreciate everybody's support throughout the community, our family, our friends, everybody have really stood by us, and it's been tremendous, so we appreciate it. We're going to have Father Mark say a few words, then Bob Martin, the mayor, is going to go ahead and say some words for us, and Juanita Anderson, and then we're going to go ahead and do some cutting of the ribbon with my dad and my sister-in-law. Unfortunately, our husbands aren't here today. So we're going to do that with the grandkids, and then my mom's parents and sister and brother-in-law and sister-in-law are going to come up and cut the other side for us. So we appreciate everybody coming out now, and I'll go ahead and hand over to Mark.
Thanks, Lacey. Wow, I think this is a bigger crowd than we had at the 10 o'clock mass. Now, just in case not all of you got to church this weekend, Olivia, you went twice this weekend with your grandparents and with your family too, didn't you? So Olivia's making up for some of you, but don't expect this on a regular basis. Well, when Steve asked me about having a brief prayer for the dedication of the covered bridge, and as I talked with our mayor and with Steve just now, we believe it's the only covered bridge in Chickasaw County. I thought, well, maybe I'll just look up the word bridge in the Bible and have a prayer that's connected to whatever bridge is mentioned in the Bible. But off the top of my head, I couldn't remember where bridge is ever used in the Bible. So a lot of you that are in Bible study might know that this is a concordance, and if you're not sure where the word bridge is listed in the Bible, you can look up the word bridge, and then it'll tell you all the places it's used in the Bible. So you looked up the word bridge in the Bible, and it's only used once in the whole Bible. So if any of you are ever on a quiz show and they quiz you about that, it's Ezekiel chapter 27, verse 6, but it's used in reference to the bridge on a ship, on a naval vessel. So that isn't even the kind of bridge we're talking about. So I thought of another story where at least I knew about a crossing. And when I thought of the crossing, a lot of times whenever somebody comes to ford a stream in the scriptures, spiritually it means they're coming to an important point in their life where they might have to take a new direction, or they might have to make a crossing spiritually onto another shore, or they might have to make a crossing into a new phase of their life. And so in the book of Genesis, there's a story about Jacob, where Jacob comes to the stream called the Jabbok, J-A-B-B-O-K. And Jacob is facing something pretty important, because a lot of times, whenever Jacob, up to this point in his life, had come into a conflict, he kind of went in the other direction. He'd had conflicts with his father-in-law, and he had conflicts with his brother Esau. But he comes to this stream, and he has his whole family with him, and it's at night, and then there's a confrontation. So Olivia, could you hold this for me for a minute? So this is from the book of Genesis. In the course of that night, however, Jacob arose, took his family and his 11 children, and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. After he had taken them across the stream and had brought over all his possessions, Jacob was left there alone. Then some man wrestled with him until the break of dawn. When the man saw that he could not prevail over Jacob, he struck Jacob's hip at its socket, so that the hip socket was wrenched as they wrestled. The man then said, "Let me go, for it is daybreak." But Jacob said, "I will not let you go until you bless me." "What is your name?" the man asked. He answered, "Jacob." Then the man said, "You shall no longer be spoken of as Jacob, but as Israel, because you have contended with divine and human beings and have prevailed." Jacob then asked him, "Do tell me your name, please." He answered, "Why should you want to know my name?" With that he bade him farewell. Jacob named the place Peniel, because I have seen God face to face, yet my life has been spared. At sunrise, as he left Peniel, Jacob limped along because of his hip. That is why to this day the Israelites do not eat the sciatic muscle that is on the hip socket, inasmuch as Jacob's hip socket was struck at the sciatic muscle. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. I thought of that story in reference to Nita. Nita and Steve wrestled with this cancer. Lacey and Adam wrestled with this cancer. And they wrestled a long time. But they came to the crossing where Steve had to let go. And all of you friends had to let go. But in the wrestling with the cancer, sometimes we get strengthened, even as difficult as it is. And so this crossing of this stream can be seen as kind of a shrine to contending with God and the difficult things in life. Jacob asked for a blessing, even though he limped the rest of his life. And so for all of you who miss Nita, you might be limping a little bit and feeling it today. But we're here at this place so that whenever you drive by on Milwaukee, you can be reminded of the crossings of life. And that this bridge can be a blessing and not something that makes us really sad. This bridge can be a blessing and not a curse. This bridge can be a blessing reminding us that just as Nita has crossed to the other side, so we too are asked to do that with our family and friends, and eventually for ourselves. So as it's decorated with nice plants and flowers, Nita loved the world of nature. I think that gave her strength as she faced her illness. We can be reminded of Steve and Lacey and the whole family that you've contended with cancer, but Nita's praying for you on the other side. Jacob was able to cross, and his name was changed, and his life got better. He even made peace with his brother after that night of wrestling. So maybe this can be a reminder that after we contend with difficult things in our life, the Lord will help us to cross into whatever the next step is. Our Father, who art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done,
on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Thanks, everybody. It's good to pray with you. I think, Mayor, do you have a few words for us?
I guess Steve asked me to say a few words because he knows that at the Carnegie Cultural Center, we work very hard to preserve the story of New Hampton and Chickasaw County. And Steve knows the value of that, and he appreciates the value. It's very much parallel to what he did here. He worked very hard, put in lots of time to preserve the story of Nita. And in doing so, he also preserves the story of family. The Gertz family, his family. And he preserves the story of the business that they have been here for generations working with. And in so doing, he also helps create some stories, because I'm sure this spot will be a place where people come as they create their stories, as they graduate and have photos taken. as they have engagement or wedding photos taken. And so he's really in the spirit of giving to the community another place to create and preserve stories.
Thank you, everybody, again, and thank you very much for speaking on behalf of us. The prayer was wonderful. Thank you very much. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and cut the ribbons. So if I can get Jack and Rose Kirkove and David and Tony Kirkove and Linda and Al Brichter to come on up, and Brenda, you want to come up, and then we'll cut these ribbons, if you would, please.
After the ribbon's cut, then I'll invite the grandchildren to sprinkle the bridge with living water and ask God to bless it. Also, there's a nice plaque. Love and memories can build a bridge. That's on the inner part of the roof.